Weird Tales, September 1923, Volume 2, Issue 2. Greetings, dear listeners. We're back once again for our monthly exploration of Weird Tales. Weird Tales, the unique magazine. This time, we'll be exploring the September 1923 issue, Volume 2, Issue 2. This month, I'm going to do things a little differently. Instead of reading the entire table of contents, which is not very interesting to listen to, I'm going to review several of the stories, the ones I was able to find in audiobook form. But I have put the table of contents in the description so you can check out the stories and articles that appeared in this issue. So, let's begin our exploration with The Black Patch. The Black Patch by Niagara Falls, Ontario native Julian Kilman, who wrote 5 stories for Weird Tales, all of which appeared in 1923. The Black Patch is a plodding and rather confused account of an attempted swindle. It contains no supernatural elements, but does have a man wearing an eye patch who falls to his death off a train bridge. It barely held my interest. But at least the yarn has the virtue, if it is a virtue, of being set in Canada. And it was also short. Next up is The Moneylender by Vincent Sterrett, which tells of a desperate client trying to get some additional time to repay a loan from, well, you guessed it, a moneylender. I thoroughly enjoyed this yarn for its vivid characterization and its use of period slang. But what is it doing in Weird Tales? In spite of a twist ending, it is more an exercise in naturalism than an exercise in supernaturalism. Vincent Sterrett is best known for his love of Sherlock Holmes, and like me, he was a member of the Baker Street Irregulars. In 1920, he published an excellent Holmes pastiche, The Adventure of the Unique Hamlet, and then in 1933, he produced The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, which is generally regarded as the first work of Sherlockian scholarship. And there has been a ton of Sherlockian scholarship ever since. Whole libraries of it. Whole internets of it. Sterrett, who lived from 1886 to 1974, was actually born in Toronto and worked for most of his life as a book reviewer for the Chicago Tribune. Sterrett also wrote mystery novels and horror stories. Horror stories which appeared in various pulp magazines between 1920 and 1932, and which were collected by Arkham House publishers in a volume called The Quick and the Dead. But The Moneylender is not among the 10 stories collected in that volume. Sterrett was also a friend of the Welsh mystic and author of weird fiction, Arthur Machan, and promoted Machan's work in the U.S., until the two had a falling out, a controversy beyond the scope of this short video. The third story I want to cover is The Bloodstained Parasol by James Ravenscroft, which, according to Edward E. French, who does an excellent reading of the story, was probably a pseudonym, as he was unable to find any information on the author. Neither was I. The Bloodstained Parasol is a rather grisly story of vivisection and madness, with a haunting final line. It's well worth a read or a listen. But again, it's a yarn about madness, not the supernatural. Aren't there any stories of the weird or of the supernatural in this magazine called Weird Tales? This brings us to what Weird Tales refers to as a masterpiece of horror. The Damned Thing. The Damned Thing by Ambrose Bierce. Bierce was, beyond doubt, the most important American horror writer in the years between Poe and H.P. Lovecraft. And if you are a regular listener to my channel, you will know that I have presented a number of his short ghost stories. Bierce's life is also beyond the scope of this video, so I put a link to his bio in the description. And if he's new to you, please check it out. The Damned Thing is the story of an inquest into the unusual death of a man and is set on the frontier during the 1800s. The yarn is told in 4 parts, which slowly reveals what happened, with the final line, the final revelation. It is a superb and sardonic short story, and yeah, it's even supernatural. Or is it? Be sure to check it out. I put links to an audio recording of The Damned Thing in the description, along with audio recordings of the other stories discussed. Discussed, not disgusted, discussed. But if you'd rather read the stories, you can find them through Wikisource and on the Internet Archive. Links to both sites in the description as well. A final note on the cover illustration, which is apparently by R.M. Malley, who did cover and interior art for 9 issues of Weird Tales in 1923 and 1924. I believe his cover illustration for this issue is for the story The People of the Comet by Austin Hall, but I'm not sure. Nor was I able to find any biographical information about R.M. Malley, so if anyone listening knows anything about him, please share your knowledge in the comments below. In my review of the June issue of Weird Tales, I quoted the following letter, which appeared in the magazine's comments section, The Airy. Quote, "The stories you have printed so far can be grouped under 3 general headings: ghost stories, snake stories, insanity stories. In your first issue, you printed a story called Ooze, which approached the type of semi-scientific stories that are liked intensely by all those who are fond of the unusual. And if you would publish at least one story of this type in each issue of your magazine, I am sure that your efforts would register larger sales." End of quote. Conrad A. Brandt, 563 West 150th Street, New York City. It's hard to argue with Conrad's points. Of the 4 stories I've discussed in this video, only one, The Damned Thing, involved the supernatural. Will the really weird science and supernatural tales we've come to expect from Weird Tales be appearing soon? Stay tuned as I cover Weird Tales month by month going forward. And hey, there may even be a Lovecraft on the horizon. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,500 subs. Please. Till midnight. Cheers. Pictures used in today's video, courtesy of Pixhere, that's PX here, while the music was the classic Ghost Processional by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod.